What's your name?
Lowell Robert Kaeding,
And when were you born?
February 5th, 1941.
And what was your branch of service?
Navy Reserve.
What was your rank? Your rank.
Seaman.
How many years were you in the?
Navy Reserve.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6, 7 years.
Describe for me what was your boot camp or training experience? What was it like? Like your training?
Oh, the boot camp was 8 weeks. It was rough. You had to pay attention to the instructor. Otherwise, you had extra duty.
How did you come to join the service?
Well, I wanted to go in after I graduated from high school. At the time, there was no war or anything going on, and I figured if I waited till I was 26, then they would draft me. Then I wouldn't want to go.
Where were you living at the time? Where were you living at the time? You were
At home with mom and dad. Toward the end, I was married.
Why did you pick the service branch you joined?
Why did I what?
Why did you pick the branch that you joined?
Oh, my brother was in the Marines at the time, and he said, don't join the Marines or Army. Join the Air Force or Navy. You'll have a sheet and pillowcase to sleep on, and I did.
Describe what day-to-day life was like when you were in the service.
Repeat then.
Describe what day-to-day life was like when you were in the service.
Well, we had a regular 8-hour day, get up in the morning and eat. Then we had to do whatever the petty officers had assigned us to do.
Such as some of the jobs that you had to do.
Paint, tie the ship up when we came back to shore. But toward the end of my 2 years active, I was in the supply department.
What was food like when you were in the service? What was food like?
Food, it was good. It was good. Had good chefs.
How did you stay in touch with your family when you were in the service?
How what?
How did you stay in touch with your family?
By letters, sending them back and forth. Once or twice a year, we would phone them.
What did you do what did you do following your service? Like when you quit?
Well, when my time was up, got discharged, came back to Wisconsin, and then Gene and I got an apartment in Menasha. And then I was working for Stokely Canning Company. Then from there, I got a job at Marathon in Menasha. And then from there, I got a job at Merton Cananina. And then from there, Gene got me the job up at New London at Kerwin.
Do you recall the day that your service ended? Like what was that like?
When your service ended, what did they do to end it?
What did I have to do to end it? I was down in New Orleans at Mardi Gras. Because the Admiral wanted to see Mardi Gras, so I got to see Mardi Gras twice. Can you picture an aircraft carrier going up the Mississippi River? We did. Twice. And that's where they discharged me from. My home port was Pensacola, Florida. But where did they discharge me from? New Orleans.
Were you in any war or conflicts when you were in the service?
Vietnam was just starting. I think Vietnam started in April or May of '64, and that I was supposed to get out in September of '64, and I did. But Vietnam was going on, and the first conflict was the Cuban crisis, and the other name for that was the Bay of Pigs. Talk about a line of ships just waiting for President Kennedy to give us the word. Thank the Lord it never happened.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
No, just my discharge paper.
What was your job when you were in there? Like, were you up in the action
Well,
or?
my first job before I got into the supply department was boatsman's mate. You had to untie the ship from shore, and when we came back, you tie it up. Had to paint the decks whenever the petty officers hollered, "Hey, this needs paint."
When you were at the Cuban Missile Crisis, what did you do at that time?
I was in the boatsman mate division, and if we did have to, if Kennedy declared war or whatever,
Was that during like the Cold War? Was or
The Bay of Pigs?
no? Like it was like a battle in like a war, right? Or was
It
that
could
just
have
a?
been.
it could
Was
have
it was
been,
it
yeah.
the Cold War? Was
No.
or was it just like a standoff thing?
Yeah.
And then would have had to fire the big guns that they had on ship.
And
The shell was as long as the disc and probably 8 inches in diameter. That was the size shell that gun took.
and Dick was in Vietnam, right? How did you get through like being in the Army and Navy, or not the Army and Navy,
Maybe.
the Navy? Like, how did you get through that?
How did I join it or
How did
picked
you
it?
get through it? Like,
Well, a buddy and me from high school wanted to join the Air Force. Well, they took him, but they didn't need me. So I figured, well, try the Navy. That's, they took me. That's how I ended up in the Navy.
um, tell me a couple of your most memorable experience when you were in service.
When I caught the ship that was up at the Brooklyn Navy Yards, they just came back from overseas doing repairs. They didn't even get done with all the repairs, and that when that Cuban crisis, we got the word to go down the Cuba. No, what was your question?
What were your most memorable
Okay,
experiences?
then from the Cuban crisis, we were at uh, there was a Navy base in Florida. Now I can't think of the name, but from there, then they decided to make our carrier a training carrier. So then they made it Pensacola, our home port. 2 weeks out of the month, we had to go down to Corpus Christi, Texas,